Alright, so now we're going to do some data tables. And data tables are a little bit different than just the basic tables you've been making in Excel. Data tables are a range of cells that show the resulting values when one or more input values are varied in a formula. So that means you can plug in different numbers for different variables and get different results and have an opportunity to kind of compare things a little bit better as you go along. They have one purpose, and that's to organize the answers to your what-if questions. And they have to be built in an unused area of the worksheet in order for them to work. So we're going to create a one input data table. It's also called a one variable data table. A one input data table is a range of cells that show resulting values when one input value in a formula is changed. And then it calculates the results and fills in the data table with the results. So we're going to do some changes in interest rates and look at how they affect the monthly payment, the total interest, and the total cost. So we're going to set this up in a different section of our sheet. So to do that, I'm going to put in some information. I'm going to start in C9, and I'm going to type in varying interest rate schedule. And then I'm going to use my format painter to steal some formatting. So I'm going to go up to C3 where I formatted this and hit my format painter and go ahead and click C9 so I don't have to redo any of that. In C10 I'm going to type in rate. In B10 I'm going to do monthly payment. And E10 total interest, and then the last one is total cost. I'm going to change my row heading here. I'm going to change this to 20.25. I'm going to take 10 and I'm going to move it to 17.25. Okay. And let's see, I feel like I need to do something to make these feel a little bit better. Let's select all these and right align them too. Still doesn't take care of the problem of the monthly payment. What do you think? It doesn't really tell you to adjust anything. I'm just going to adjust it because I'm not going to sit there and look at it like that. All right. So now we can go and fill in the different percentages we're going to look at and the way so that we can see how they'll affect different outcomes here. So starting in C12, I'm going to enter in 3.0%. So that's my first number in my series. I'm going to go to C, let's see, maybe I put it in the wrong spot. I sure did. I need to change this. I'm going to put this in C12. I forgot that I have to leave a row for my formulas so this works. All right, so 3.25% in this one. So I've established that this is a series. You're probably going to notice that it's going to cut off and round up, so I'm going to need to add another decimal place here. Okay. So if I select these two and drag my fill handle down to C22, because I've established the distance between the two numbers, it will fill in the range. And then I can make sure that I have the same number of decimal places for everything. Yeah, just hit your increase decimal button, so that looks better. All right, so all those numbers are filled in, and it goes all the way up to 4.25%. Okay. So the formulas that we're going to put in here to look at are the monthly payment, the total interest, and the total cost. There are 4 ways to put these in your formula, in your data table. You can retype them. You can copy them from the cells they're already in, up here. You can enter the formulas. So I could type in equals monthly payment, or I can enter the actual formulas and make them equal to certain cells. So the best alternative to define the formulas in the data table is the fourth option, which is where you actually make it equal to the cell that the formula is in. So in this case, well, it's easier to do that because for one thing, it's easier to enter, and if you change any of the formulas in your F6 through F8 range up here, the formulas at the top of the table are going to be immediately updated. And it will also automatically assign the format of the cell reference. So whatever currency style is used up here is going to put it into that cell. All right. The third option is kind of a good option, but it's not. It won't assign the formatting when you put it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here to D11, and I'm going to make it equal to F6, like that. And then I'm going to hit enter. Make sure I put the right thing in there. Oh, you know what? I didn't change my interest rate and stuff back. Let's do that real quick. Well, you know, it doesn't really matter. Still get the idea. So I'm going to make this equal to F8. Total interest is, I'm sorry, F7. And then this will be F8. All right, and just to show you, since I've gone in and I've linked them that way, if I go and make changes, like for instance, let's see, we'll change this back to 115,000. You can see that formulas will update as I go. I can change this back to 3.875. Change this back to 15. You can see how it automatically updates everything. Now, I did lose my formatting here. I'm not sure why. It's easy to fix. You can always go up and right-click it and do the format to set it to currency, like we did before. Make it look right. All right, so now, this is the key to being able to fill in all the numbers. You have to select the range that the entire table is going to occupy. So I'm going to start in C11 and I'm going to go all the way down to F22. If you don't select the entire range, it doesn't fill in correctly. If you don't have formulas up here in this top row, it won't work correctly. All right, I'm going to go to my data tab. On my data tab, I'm going to go under what if analysis, and I'm going to select the data table option, and it's going to give me this little box here to work with. All right, so this is your data table dialog box. You have two different types of input. You can do a two variable data table. So that's why you have a row input and a column input. You have to tell it where it's pulling all the information from. So it's pulling it in from a column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select under column input, which means I have to move the cursor down. I'm going to select F4. And that's where that percentage rate that this is going to plug in is going to be. So that's what it's going to substitute every time it moves down here. And it just needs to know where it's going to find that. All right. Once you hit OK, it's going to fill in all the numbers. Now, you see the style didn't come in, which is fine. You can always come back in here and right-click and do the format cells and add the currency, like so. All right. But you can see that if you change the interest rate and go down, your payment goes down a little bit. It changes your total interest and so forth. If you go up, it makes a difference too. So that's one of the neat things about data tables, is it gives you an idea of what changing certain things in your payment calculator will do. I mean, you can use this for multiple different things, but this is just a really good example of how to use it. There are a couple important points you need to know about data tables. All the formulas that you're analyzing have to have a cell reference for the input cell. You can have as many active data tables as you want in a worksheet. While you only have one value that's going to vary in your one input data table, you can put as many formulas in there as you want. We put 3 in here. You could put more easily. And to add them, all you have to do is either add them in adjacent cells in the same row as the current formulas, and then define the entire new range as a data table. So it's really easy to add them. You would delete a data table like you would any other thing on a worksheet. You have to select the data table and hit delete. And like I said before, an alternative to one input is a 2 input. And that would just give you the opportunity to vary 2 cells for calculated results. So there's a lot of neat things you can do with a data table.